Hello Year 11, and just following on now with our next lesson, looking now at the UK's post-industrial economy, which is what our economy is now. So last lesson we looked at how it had changed, and this is where we are at now with what's called a post-industrial economy. So you've got to do now task up there, see if you can answer those two questions, pause the video, give yourself a minute or two, then I will go through the answers. Right, so answer time now. So it's loss of primary jobs, huge increase in tertiary jobs, new quaternary industry post 1980s, and secondary peaking in 1900 and then declining. Deindustrialisation for B, cause of economic change in the UK, with deindustrialisation, globalisation and government policy. That's the move away from heavy industry, the increase of global trade and global links, and obviously the government policy of the selling off of some of the privatised public industries into the private sector. So let's have a look at what a post-industrial economy really is. So what does a post-industrial economy mean then? Well, it is the economy of many economically developed countries where most employment is now in service industry. So if we go back to our changing employment structure graph, we see that sort of curve there with deindustrialisation marked on it, and it's when tertiary industries then crosses over both secondary and primary, and we are now in a post-industrial economy. Now the jobs that make up a post-industrial economy are ones like this, so things like teacher, IT technician, mechanical engineer, a recruiter, an accountant, athlete, brand manager, office manager. So in 2018 these were some of the most desirable jobs. So what are the trends? You know, what are the kind of changes? You can see there that many people have most desired jobs there in quite modern jobs. It's very well said amongst schools actually that we are now preparing you for jobs that don't even exist yet, because the employment industry is changing so much. You know, there was no such thing as influencers, there was no such thing as social media and things 10, 15 years ago. So massive changes in the types of jobs people can get. So what we're going to do now is look at some of the ways in which a post-industrial economy has been created. So the first one is the development of IT and information technology. So 670,000 people work in information technology. IT industry in the UK is £58 billion a year. And there's around 100,000 software companies in the UK. That includes Microsoft and IBM, and obviously we know IBM are in the Lakeside Park at Portsmouth, as well as one of our case studies earlier when we're looking at urban change. We have the largest mobile device market in Europe, 80 million mobile subscriptions, about 14 billion a year. And we are one of the world leaders in cybersecurity, worth about 2.8 billion a year to the country. So massive opportunities there for income and work. Another way is the growth of service industries. It's about 3/4 of the UK's economy. 4 million people just in retail. And we export these services as well, tourism and education. We are the second largest exporter of services globally. What I'd like you to do now is have a think back to what we've just gone through. Which of these two statements are correct? So maybe just write them down, the two options you think are correct, and then we'll see if you were right. So pause if you need a bit of time. If not, we'll carry on in a second. So hopefully you've got your answers down. So yep, option 1, 670,000 jobs in the UK, absolutely. And 100,000 software companies in the UK. So let's have a look at what else has contributed to us being a post-industrial economy. Finance. Finance jobs are any jobs to do with money, with banking and things like this. Accountancy, building societies, insurance, investments, pensions. And we are a home to many global financial institutions. Image you can see there is Canary Wharf. You know, you can see CITI, Barclays and HSBC, massive banks. Interestingly, HSBC have their global headquarters in the UK. That's their world headquarters. Now bear in mind, HSBC is Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation. So you can see there as a TNC, but they've actually relocated the global headquarters to the UK because of our market leading position in the finance industry. Also, development of research. Research development massively increasing in the UK using our university graduates. Okay, in 2016, 33 billion was spent on research and development in the UK alone, and this research and development would have then gone on and been used in other sectors of the industry and other parts of the world. So you're going to need to pause your video here. I've got 6 points here for you. What I want you to do is for each of those 6 points, they've got a mistake. I want you to find that mistake and correct it and get those written down. Once you've done that, we'll go through and have a look at the possible answers. So pause your video until you're ready to move on. Right, let's move on now and have a look at the answers. So, finance jobs include banking, retail and insurance. In 2016, it was 3 billion spent on research and development. So that should have been there. 33, sorry. In HSBC, Aviva and Barclays are American companies. No, they're not. They are all based in the UK. UK export service based industries such as farming and education. Not farming, it was tourism. Second largest mobile device market in Europe. No, that is the first largest. And research and development is definitely increasing in the UK. Obviously, finance jobs are not banking, retail and insurance. Would be building societies, financial advice and things. So what we're going to do now is move on and have a look at the final task, the one I've asked you to submit on Show My Homework. We're going to answer a 6-mark question. We are going to explain 2 ways that the UK's economy has become a post-industrial. What I want you to do is have a look at that model answer. Just have a think about it for a minute or two and think about where the marks have come from. Where have the marks come from in that model answer? So pause your video for a sec if you need to think about it. Right, let's have a look. So this is 1 paragraph, so it would only be worth 3 marks. You'd need 2 points, because it's 2 ways. So one way that the UK's economy has become post-industrial is through the growth of service jobs. 1 mark, that's your point. 4 million people are employed in retail jobs alone. That's your evidence. Now you're going to explain, leading to increased tertiary employment, a feature of a post-industrial economy. So that last sentence there is your link back. So it's a mark for your point, a mark for your evidence, and a mark for your explanation, with a link just making your answer flow better. So what are you actually going to do? Well, it is a 6-mark question, so you should have only really 2 3-mark paragraphs, but I'm going to be a little bit harsh on you. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to complete a paragraph like the model we just went through, your peel statement, but this time I want you to do 1 for each of these: development of research, increase in finance and growth of IT. Remember to use the so what rule to develop your points. So point, so what, evidence, so what, explanation, so what. Then ideally include your link as well. So I'm looking for 3 paragraphs, each worth 3 marks. So actually it would be 9 marks, but it would only be a 6-mark question in the exam. You'd only be expected to do 2 paragraphs. This is what I really want handed in. By all means, hand your other notes and bits and pieces in as well, but this is what I want to see from you to mark. So thank you very much, and we'll carry on looking at post-industrial and science parks in our next lesson.